All right, guys, welcome back to the study. Today we're going to be doing 1 John chapter 3, verses 2 and 3. So we're going to jump straight into it. These are pretty simple verses. Just takes a little bit to explain them. Verse 2 says, "Beloved, now we are children of God, and it has not yet been revealed what we shall be, but we know that when he is revealed, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is." All right, so what's this mean? All right, guys, so this verse is actually pretty simple. So if we just look back to the previous verse where John was basically saying, guys, and remember, we're in a new chapter. So this is sort of a signification. Anytime you see a new chapter, it's sort of a continuation thought, but it's sort of a new thought as well. Everything kind of flows together, and yet at the same time, he's jumping into sort of a new line of thinking, or what he's trying to say. So in verse 1, he was just saying, "Behold what manner of love the Father has bestowed on us, that we should be called children of God. Therefore, the world does not know us because it did not know him." And so in the very next verse, he says, "Beloved, now we are children of God." So in verse 1, he's saying, look, God's loved us so much that, he's opened up the door for us to have a relationship with him, and even, given us the title of being called children of God. So in the very next verse, he says, we are children of God. And all verse 2 really is sort of him explaining that we don't really know what it's going to be like in the next life, or when Christ comes back. He's talking about how, it won't be revealed, sort of until our death and we're standing in front of God. And the easy answer to this is, to try to understand it, is that we really won't understand it. The only bodies we've ever known are our own human bodies. That's it. So we don't know what it basically means to have what's attributed as a heavenly body. We don't know what that's going to be like. Even in the Gospels, when there was a group of, I think, Pharisees or Sadducees or whoever comes up to Jesus and tries to quiz him and say, look, here's an example of this one particular woman ended up being married through a series of events 7 different times to all these different brothers. And so which one of them would she be the wife to in heaven? And Jesus, his response to them is basically, "You idiots don't know anything at all about, what the afterlife is coming. There's not going to be marriage. Those things aren't going to exist. The sort of world that we know and how we interact with one another and just sort of the human experience, that is not going to be exactly what it's like in the afterlife." And so that's basically what John is just saying here. He's just talking about the hope that we have for the future. And in that hope, what exactly does it look like? And verse 2 is John's way of saying, we don't really know 100% what it's going to look like. We don't know 100% what it's going to be like. I can't explain to you. The only thing I can basically tell you is that we will be like him, referring to Jesus. We will be like the risen Lord. And you got to remember something. John is one of the people that would have seen Jesus come back from the resurrection, rise from the grave, be in his heavenly body, not in, he was in a different body, and it's the same body. Okay, that's a little hard to kind of go into, but basically it's just John's way of saying, look, we don't really know 100% what it's going to be like. So that's verse 2. So let's just go ahead and kind of flip over to verse 3, and I'm going to read that real quick. And says, verse 3, "And everyone who has this hope in him purifies himself just as he is pure." All right, so the way to understand this in conjunction with verse number 2, you can kind of mistranslate this verse or misunderstand it or take it out of its context. And to take it out of its context, it says, hey, everyone is just purifying themselves. And let's all get naturalistic and, it's purify ourselves. And that's not his point, because we got to keep it in the context of what's been talking about. Verse 1, that we are now children of God. Verse 2, What exactly it's going to be like in the afterlife, can't tell you 100%, but we know that we will be like him. And verse 3, this hope that we have and going to be like him, we know that he is pure. And so we know that we will be pure. So we're, in essence, purifying ourselves when we come into this relationship with Christ. That, it's sort of the easy way to summarize it. I'm a human being. I have anxiety. I have things I worry about. I have this, I have that, things that cave in and whatnot. And, just sort of the human experience. And John's point is, look, we have this hope in the future, and this hope is being in the kingdom of God as children of God, that we will inherit this kingdom through the grace that God has given us. And it's through that I can't tell you how everything's going to be, but I do know this: just as Christ is pure, we are going to be pure as well. We're not going to have this human experience. We're not going to have this anxiety. We're not going to have depression. We're not going to have all these different characteristics that sort of bombard us throughout our lives as humans. That stuff is gone. It's removed. And in essence, it's sort of purifying yourself. And so we will be purified just as he is pure. So that's basically just what John is saying here. It's not to, just don't try to take those verses out of context. That is what John's point is overall. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, so I hope I kind of explained that okay. I don't know. I'll have to go back and see if I did an okay job in sort of explaining verses 2 and 3, but I think you get the gist. So, all right, thanks so much, and we will see you next time. See ya.